So, not quite the saddest day, but kind of sad day, final decision-making meeting for Vice Mayor Kynes. We will be here the 21st, which is Monday, for our swearing in, and
Are we here or at the Hale Center?
no, we're here.
We're here.
I know, I thought we were at the Hale Center
I thought
too.
we were at the Hale Center.
I did too. I just found
Okay,
out.
well, that's a
We're
really
here.
good thing to let people know.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Monday, we're here, the 21st for the swearing in.
It's on 6.
At 6. Mhm.
Yeah, at 6 o'clock. We'll be, initially we'll all be seated here and say our, very heartfelt goodbyes to Vice Mayor Kynes, and then present her with a few gifts, and then we'll invite Commissioner-elect Walker to come up. And I don't know where I'll put him. Well, he'll get sworn
Commissioner
in,
re-elect, so.
and Commissioner
And then
re-elect,
Commissioner
yes.
Walker, right?
So,
Sound
you'll know exactly what you need to do, I promise.
Oh, great,
Um,
thank you. I don't use.
Rebecca is,
Yeah, it'll be the first meeting ever, you know.
The first one, 18 years.
we're working
ago.
on it. But anyway, it is our last decision-making meeting, and we know we do have a commissioner-elect, so everything that we're doing today is more for functionality and housekeeping items versus policy-making decisions out of respect for our new commissioner coming in, so. Thank you for your service. I'm not going to go down that road today because we're going to go down that road on Monday, and there'll be lots of tears. But anyway, it's a day of memories today. Let's put it that way. Okay. We have
So
no
we're gonna
pres-
tell like our best memories of Deborah on Monday, is that what we're doing?
anything you want to
I
talk
can't- I
about.
can't wait,
Everybody,
I can't wait for that.
everybody should be prepared to.
Roast.
There we go, roast Deborah.
I thought we did that already.
Yeah.
We did.
So many
but-
stories,
But
so
now I
many
have
stories.
my architecture degree.
I
Yes,
know,
you
you
do.
do. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you do, your honorary architecture degree. No, but everybody should prepare to, and any department heads that want to get up and speak or whatever, in regards to Deborah's service, and certainly the fact that we're keeping our fellow colleague and then our new colleague coming forward. So lots of time for everybody to have a few words to say. And I know you're going to be talking to Rob Monday, right?
Yes.
Be sure he knows he'll have time to speak as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to touch base with them this week as well, just so
Okay.
they can be prepared.
That's great. It'll be a nice little thing, and then everybody can go out to dinner or do whatever they normally do after such things. We should be here maybe an hour, hour and a half. I'm not exactly sure how long it'll last, but okay. Citizen input. Anybody wishing to come forward to talk about anything that is not already on the agenda? I don't see any citizens here, so we'll move on with the consent agenda. There is one item to be pulled on consent agenda, and that is the LPA. Are we going to pull the whole thing, or are we just pulling the one piece?
It doesn't need to be pulled for discussion, it's just being postponed, man.
Well, I meant pulled so that we postpone it, because consent is one vote.
Exactly.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I'm saying, are we pulling,
Just the
because
one
there's,
member.
okay, so we're not voting on the Charlie piece, we're voting only on
I think
Dr.
the whole
Bloom.
item should be postponed.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
all right, so we're pulling the LPA. Can I have a motion?
No, I thought she meant the board. Are we pulling the
We're pulling
entire
to
board
the-
and committees?
No, just LPA,
D,
Okay,
just LPA.
gotcha.
So
It's
can I-
actually not down as D, so.
right?
Yeah,
It
Okay.
doesn't say D, so.
It
you
does
say
say
no.
D.
it says D.
It does for me.
Well, it doesn't for me.
All right, well.
Either way, it's local planning agency.
Okay,
Done.
so can I have a motion to postpone the local planning agency?
So move.
Commissioner Franny,
Second?
Vice Mayor Kynes, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, so we'll go back. There is a Approval of minutes from September 15th and October 4th. There are board and committee appointments for Arts and Culture, Board of Adjustment Appeal, Committee on Environmental Quality. There is an acknowledgement and correction of a Scrivener's error for our consent agenda from October 1st. There is a purchasing cooperative interlocal participation agreement, and there is an award of bid for industrial grade methanol in the amount of $110,000 in estimate. Are there any other items to be pulled? Okay, can I have a motion to approve all those other items?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Kynes and Commissioner Franny. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Wow, that was a quick consent agenda. We don't normally have them. That's what they're there for, to be quick. I'm just reminding folks of that. Hint, hint, Commissioner Gao. Just saying, just
I mean, she
saying.
complimented you earlier, and then she just kind of took it away, you know?
Yeah.
All right, action items. We have the fiscal year 2022 third and final, right? Budget amendment, third and final? Resolution 22-21, amending the city's operating and capital budgets beginning on October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022. Nikki, would you please read that resolution by title only?
Resolution 22-21, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dunedin, Florida, amending the city's operating and capital budgets for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022, and providing for an effective date. This has been reading of Resolution 22-21 by title only.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Franny and Commissioner Tonga. All right. We have a very large budget amendment, I mean, a lot of items, but mostly based on the Gatsby change that we just took care of with the CRA meeting. So,
Okay.
please.
Morning.
Morning.
Les Tyler, the Finance Director, and here with Ashley Kempton, the Budget Manager. This Resolution 22-21 is our last budget amendment for fiscal year 22. Florida Statute 166.241 provides for a municipality to amend its budget at any time during the fiscal year or within 60 days following the end of the fiscal year. The proposed amendments are on pages 2 through 8 in the staffing report and also listed in attachment A of the staffing report. The total impact on fund balance is shown on page 2 of the staffing report for each fund impacted. The total for all funds is $1,897,011.69. We would like to briefly go over the key budget amendments. Starting with the general fund, the first item is an increase in the expenditure budget of $38,600 for flooring replacement of $17,500 at the community center and $21,100 for the MLK Center. Both facilities were impacted during the temporary relocation of staff following the demolition of the former MSB buildings, and this results in a net decrease to fund balance. This item was included in a delegated authority memo on August 1st, 2022. The next item is the Gatsby 87, and I won't go into a lot of detail on that again, but I'll just mention that the impact in the general fund for 2022 is an increase in debt expense of $150,064 and a decrease in rent expense of $173,000, resulting in a net increase to fund balance of $23,096. There are many funds that had the 87 adjustment, and I will cover them briefly as we move forward through the staffing. The next and the last item for the general fund is an amendment for an increase in expenses, the expense budget of $371,361 for an increase in the fire administration, operations, and EMS overtime costs. The department had various vacancies in the department in 2022, which contributed to the increase in overtime. This results in a decrease to fund balance in the general fund. Moving to the building fund, this item first is just Gatsby 87, so it's a small dollar amount and there's no net impact to fund balance. The next fund is a county gas tax fund. This is item F, and this is a decrease in the ARPA grant revenue in the county gas tax fund of $123,574. ARPA revenue was originally budgeted in the gas tax fund, the penny fund, and the marina fund in the fiscal year 22 budget. After the budget was adopted, an ARPA spending plan was developed by staff and presented to the City Commission and approved, which resulted in projects being assigned to and accounted for in the ARPA Special Revenue Fund. This results in a decrease to fund balance. This item was discussed during the City Commission February 8, 2022 ARPA workshop. The next is the penny fund. The first item is F, and this is similar to the one I just mentioned. The penny fund had ARPA revenue budgeted of $471,855 in 2022 in the original budget. After the budget was adopted and the ARPA penny plan was developed and approved by the Commission, and that resulted in projects being assigned to and accounted for in the ARPA fund, and this results in a decrease to fund balance. And this item was also discussed at the February 8th, 2022 ARPA workshop. And the last item in the penny fund is an increase in expenditure budget of $1,264. It's a small amount for paying agent and transcript binding fees related to the debt issuance in the penny fund for the City Hall project, and this results in a decrease to fund balance. The next is the American Rescue Plan Act Fund. We have a few adjustments in this fund. The first is item E. This is an increase in expenditure budget of $311,200 for ARPA premium pay lump sum payments. The City Commission approved the use of ARPA funding to provide premium pay to eligible employees who work through the COVID-19 and the Safer at Home order, and this results in a decrease to fund balance. This was again discussed at the February 8th, 2022 ARP workshop. The next item is item G, a decrease to the expenditure budget in the ARPA fund of $690,131. This amount was in the original 22 budget as a placeholder for ARPA expenses. After the budget was adopted and the ARP spending plan was developed and approved by Commission, and with that change, that resulted in projects being set and funded in the ARPA fund by project, and this increases the fund balance in the ARPA fund. And that also was discussed at the February 8th, 2022 workshop. And the next item is item H. In the ARPA fund, there's an increase in the expenditure budget of $7,390, and that's for the Zen City Resident Survey and Report for the prioritization of ARPA funds for the City of Dunedin. This report, along with 3 public input sessions completed in November 2021, was used to develop our ARPA spending plan that was presented to the Commission on February 8th, 2022, and this results in a decrease to fund balance. The next item is item I. This is an expenditure budget increase of $500,000 for the broadband infrastructure project, which is our Wi-Fi project and our fiber cabling project. The City Commission approved the use of ARP funds for this project in the amount of $3.8 million. Of that amount, $1,125,000 was estimated to be used in fiscal year 22. A budget amendment of $625,000 was taken to the Commission, your Commission, for approval on August 16th, 2022 Commission meeting. That was item 3C, and that was the second budget amendment for this fiscal year. This BA today is the remaining amount of $500,000 to be budgeted in 2022 to get to the $1,125,000 number. Also want to mention that this is a large project, and there's also $1.375 million budgeted in 23, and also $1 million in 24 for this project. That equals the total budget for $3.8 million. Also, the last item in the ARPA fund is an increase in the expenditure budget of $413,700 for special event funding. This amount provides funding for 34 special events, including nonprofits, for-profits, and city-produced events as well, and this results in a decrease to fund balance. And this item was presented to the City Commission on October 7, 2021. Item 2D, American Rescue Plan Act funding for special events. Next is a CRA fund. Again, we went over these earlier. I won't go over these again, but the total increase in fund balance for the CRA fund is $44,361. And next is the solid waste fund. There's one item, it's GASB 87. The net impact for this fund is a decrease in fund balance of $867. Next is the water wastewater fund. The first item B is an increase in expense budget of $50,000 for the purchase of cartridge filters for the water treatment at the city. The city was notified that filter cost would be going up in June of 2022. This BA was to lock in the cost of the filters for the next year and eliminate supply chain issues. This results in a net decrease to net position. And this item was included in a delegated authority memo dated May 26, 2022. And the next item is item C, and it is an increase in the expense budget of $171,300 for emergency repairs to a 16-inch water main on CR1. This item was presented to the Commission on October 4th, 2022. Item 2D, ratification of emergency purchase order issued to TLC Diversified, Inc. for the emergency repair. The last item in this fund is GASB 87, and the net impact of GASB 87 for this fund is $132, a very small impact. And next is the Marina Fund. This item is, GASB 87 is the first item, and the resulting net impact is a $28.98 decrease to fund balance, a small number. And the last item for Marina Fund is a decrease in ARP grant revenue of $94,702. This was mentioned previously that we budgeted funding in this fund early on, and then we had the ARPA spending plan that changed how we put projects in the ARPA fund by itself. So that's a decrease in that position. And that item was discussed again also at the February 28th workshop for ARPA. Next is the Stormwater Fund. This is GASB 87 only. There's no net impact to fund balance. The next is the Facility Fund. It's also GASB 87 only, and the net impact is a decrease in net position of $315. And then we have an adjustment to the Risk Fund. We have an increase in expense budget of $100,000 for increased claim cost above the fiscal year 22 budget. We're trending over, so we're increasing by $100,000 for some cushion for the end of the year. We may have more accruals throughout the end of the year for September 30, 2022, so we're making sure we don't go over budget in that fund, and that's a decrease in that position for that fund. The next is the IT Services Fund. This is GASB 87 only, and the net result of this is an increase in that position of $1,690. That completes the proposed amendments, and I also want to mention that in attachment C in the staffing, we have our available fund balance by fund that we always have in the back, and it shows the beginning fund balance in 2022 and the estimated fund balance at the end of 2022, and all the funds are meeting or exceeding the reserve targets in the projection. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you for all the when we approved stuff. Any questions on any of these items? No?
I have a question. Two questions. One is on the risk management fund. So even though the $100,000 expense is increasing, we're still okay with our reserve?
Yes, our reserve's still fine, yeah. Yeah, we're still at $4 million, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so, and then my other question has to do with the large overtime amount. I know we've had a lot of vacancies. I guess my question really is, what are we doing to manage that? I mean, that's a lot. That's a big number.
Yeah, I'm going to have my land come up for that.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mayor, Vice Mayor. So obviously we have to have a minimum amount of staffing every day to run the apparatus. So when you ask, what are we doing to manage it? Are you looking at it for daily or like our long-term hiring process?
I guess both.
Okay. So on a daily basis, we do essentially, we have to mandatory people for the overtime, or it's voluntary based on, if they want it or not. But we're running a minimum amount of people to run the apparatus. As far as long-term.
So from a daily, you're just saying, I mean, what's driving it totally, I mean, almost 100% is the vacancies.
Correct, yeah. And to speak to that a little bit, over the last year, we had one individual who was on military deployment for a full year, which was a significant, I mean, essentially every single shift that he worked, there was almost a vacancy we had to fill. We've had several people retire a little bit earlier than expected or resign to take other positions. We didn't fill those immediately. Again, we were working with the labor as far as that lateral hire and that policy. So that worked. We are now starting to ramp up hiring, and hopefully those positions get filled relatively quickly, and then the overtime problem goes away. that's our hope.
So what's our,
May I?
yeah,
We did also, as you recall, and the union supported it, administration worked with the union to incorporate, if you will, the bonus program
Yes.
for when you come in and allow, if they have the level, equivalent level experience and education, to come in at a midpoint or above.
Higher grade.
yeah, the lateral pay, I think.
So that was all a recruitment tool to address this issue. And hopefully then we'll see more applications moving through and more opportunities to hire.
Absolutely.
So,
So how many vacancies do we have now, and how close are we to actually creating new hires?
So we are at 6 current vacancies. We have extended offers for 4 of those positions. They all accepted. We are in the hiring process right now. Those and the 4 people that we brought on we're hoping start before mid-December.
That's great.
and also,
That's
again, I
great.
started to
That
keep
is
on-
4
great.
out of 6?
That is great.
4 out of 6, and also, you
Great
recall
job.
that you gave the firefighters an 8% bump last
Right.
year. So that's
Right.
going to help us with the recruitment as well, because it puts us much more competitive in the field.
And the lateral pay, did that help in those 4 hires? Was it a factor or not really?
It was a factor. We were able to get a couple of individuals with some experience, so that's been some assistance as well. And the Pinellas County certification pay, there was one individual in the last hiring that had Pinellas County certification, so that to us is a huge bonus because we can put him right into a position that fills one of those staffing positions, the vacancies, without having to put a lot of training into it, and he becomes immediately useful. So that's a huge bonus to us.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that, if I may, Mayor, I think that this is really, the overtime issue, something that admin had been kind of raising the flag about for a while. You think we have 29 firefighters, correct?
How many?
Right, altogether?
Well, line staff individuals.
right.
It's a 40.
42.
In the 40s.
Yeah, in the
I think,
40s.
yeah.
You figure 6 positions is a lot if you're in the 40s. And so the increase in base pay and plus the recruitment tool that we put in place was directly proposed and adopted by the City Commission to address that.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you said, because as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, exactly. This is the hidden cost, but it's not really, let's put a spotlight on it. $371,000 in overtime.
Right.
And the recruitment, the inefficiencies, the potential for,
Burnout.
issues and
Mandatory
burnout.
overtime
Burnout.
is.
Right, yeah, just the morale. So, I mean, all those things are how important it is to be competitive and to, so we can fill those positions and run efficiently and effectively.
I know all of our staff is looking forward to getting back up to full staff because
bet.
it's
Oh, yeah,
definitely
no,
been
that's a lot.
it's been a trying couple months, but
All those factor in, so, great, thank you. Good discussion.
Thank you. Commissioner Twong, anything?
Yes, thank you. I'm just, this is in the form of a question, by the way, when we get to the end of it. But I looked at two issues here. One of them was what was happening with our fire folks in emergency, and realizing what we had done to try to eliminate this, and getting some input from them, realizing that we were bringing people on now, but it's still not done, and we still get terribly overworked people that are just working just incredible hours. And that just adds up to that big number. Take that big number out of this. One of the big first questions that I have is, we have the 100,000, and I'm bringing that up for a reason, because people will look at this and they'll say, wow, that was a lot of amendments. But that's a forecast based on the risk side, and that covers, what does that cover? The requirement for adding another 100,000 for risk management, so people hear what you say?
Yeah, the 100,000 is an estimate of what the claims cost. The claims cost is one of the line items, and that's slightly over budget right now. But we're adding 100 to have some cushion, like I mentioned, because one of the things we're dealing with this year, unlike the last couple of years, is we have year-end entries that we have invoices coming in October, November, December that get coded back to September when the services are rendered. With our cybersecurity incident, we're behind about 3 or 4 weeks in accounting, so we don't have some key entries in the system right now that we normally would have. So we're making, on some of these, we're making assumptions and sort of rounding up to have cushion to make sure we're not over budget.
And I know, we know the answer to this. Just define, what is this risk and what is this claims? What are the claims? For what?
Well, the claims are for, they could be property claims or the property and liability claims. Most of them, they could be workers' compensation, but they're mostly property and liability claims.
Thank you very much. So when I took those two issues out of this, and if I take ARPA out of this, okay, then really this was just a GASB correction of, in some cases, which was to our advantage, in other cases, whatever, it's an accounting issue. So although this looked big, huge, when I saw it, my eyes went, uh-oh. But in the end, it really was not significant to a fund balance.
That's true. I agree overall. That's true.
So I just wanted to make that point. If anybody's listening, they would be wondering why we had so many, and it really wasn't. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Anybody from the public? Don't see anybody from the public in the audience. I'll come back to the commission. Any final comments?
No.
No? No? It was a lot of work, but are you saying we still have another amendment coming?
No, this is it. This is the last one for 2022.
Okay.
Final.
Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Twonga. And I mean, I would have expected to see something big for risk, given the fact of what we just went
Did you
through.
hear that, John? She agrees with you.
Yeah, see? No cushion needed.
You're in trouble now. We might have to move you.
You guys might start to really get along and then, Okay.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Kynes,
Aye.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
Commissioner Twonga,
Aye.
Commissioner Franny,
Aye.
and Mayor Buczowski.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we have the ordinance 22-20, comprehensive plan amendment, updating the transportation, conservation, and support services element and adding property rights element on first reading. Nikki, would you please read the ordinance 22-20 by title only?
Ordinance 22-20, an ordinance of the City of Dunedin, Florida, amending the city's Strive for 2035 comprehensive plan to implement and update the citywide multimodal transportation master plan, retrofitting municipal buildings for clean energy, the backyard composting program and industrial composting, the sustainability master plan, and to add a property rights element, providing for codification, providing for transmittal to reviewing agencies in accordance with the requirements of law, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This has been reading of Ordinance 22-20 on first reading by title only.
Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Gao and Vice Mayor Kynes, thank you. And, if anybody wants to change any words or whatever, we can still do that with an amendment to that motion, but hopefully we won't want to wordsmith this. I'm looking
Say
at you.
good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor,
morning.
Commissioners. I'm going to quickly turn this over to Francis. As was indicated, this is primarily just some cleanup language, if you will, and the incorporation of the new plan element for property rights, which is actually patterned off the model ordinance that the state has handed down to most municipalities. So with that, I will turn it over to Francis, and she'll do a quick presentation for you.
Yes, thank you, George. Once again, I'm Frances Leong Sharp, Planner 2 for the city. So this morning, what we have in front of you is an amendment to our city's comprehensive plan. And just to bring everybody up to speed in the interest of the public, just to refresh everybody that our city's comprehensive plan is essentially a blueprint of our city. So mainly they are goals, objectives, and policies that are created to set forth any implementations of our plans, of any visions that we have for our goal that the community, would like to see us achieve in the future, and which in this case, as our title of our comprehensive plan, Strive for 2035, we are striving to achieve mainly our goals, objectives, and policies by the year 2035. And so what we have here in front of you is a couple of amendments in addition to the addition of the property rights element, which we are in responding to the requirement that was as a result of a Senate bill that was passed in 2021 for us to include a property rights element. And since then, since the adoption of our comprehensive plan, we did achieve a few objectives and policies within the document. And one of the things that I would like to highlight is the implementation and adoptions of both our multimodal transportation master plan as well as our DREAM plan, which is also known as our sustainability master plan. And along with that, in working with Natalie Gass, our sustainability coordinator, there were some programs that we have implemented, which include highlighting the residential composting program that we have in place right now. So including within your packet of your ordinance, we did attach the meeting minutes of the local planning agency. The local planning agency had recommended a conditional approval, which you will see the modification in policy 1.4.4 of the transportation element, which we would read, the city will monitor and, if appropriate, update the city multimodal transportation master plan to incorporate relevant goals from state and county transportation plans. All in all, staff recommends the approval for this. Should this ordinance approve on first reading, staff will move forward in transmitting this ordinance to the Department of Economic Opportunity for an expedited review to meet our evaluation appraisal report assessment period. And staff is open for questions.
Jeff?
Yeah, actually, I have none. I'm just excited. I got comments, but no questions.
Mayor?
Yes, I do have a question. And Jennifer, you and I did talk about the property rights inclusion, and this might be for Nikki. Do you want to just, I think that there's 4 basic tenets that they wish us to do, but I think we already do them, but.
Yes, there's a statutory requirement that you codify these 4 specific things. This is the exact language given by the legislature.
And those are the right of property to physically possess and control, property owner to physically possess and control his or her interests.
You want me to read these? The 4 policies listed under Objective 1.1. They're numbered 1.1.1 through 1.1.4. Those are the 4 items that the legislature explicitly required on your next comprehensive plan update. And Francis has just walked us through all the other different sustainability policy goals that are meant to be achieved by this update. It is required to be included. So there have been no updates or changes made to the language that's required by the legislature.
Because we're already doing them. We have
And that's a good
already
point.
used those even before it came down.
Even before it was
law.
required to be codified as part of
By the
your
legislature.
comprehensive plan.
We've already been doing it. We don't have any tweaks, nothing. What good people we are.
Well, it's interesting because it's a lot less, they're more, yeah, it's a lot less onerous. It's this, they're just statements of what you would already consider to begin with. But thank you. But it isn't what it started out to be.
Right, we just, but now it's codified in compliance with, and all the community, every community had to do this, even though, as you mentioned, like many communities already are considering those factors in every single one of their decisions, and you all have had some pretty good knockdown, drag-out debates about these topics up here in making some of those policy decisions, so, yes.
Thank you, Nikki.
No, I don't have any questions. I mean, on the property thing, I think, that's always the challenge, that you try to make sure the community understands overall too, that, we can't do everything we want we want to keep our charm, but we only have so much power. There are property rights that we have to try to balance, and we tend to push the envelope, but, and we have to respect the property owners' rights as well.
Anything? Questions?
I have no question, just a comment.
Okay. Anybody from the public wish to come forward and speak to this item? Seeing or hearing none, we'll come back to the maker of the motion. Commissioner Gao, anything you want to?
Yay. No, I think this is a real win. I'm always excited that the stronger or more focus that we can put on our sustainability plan, our multimodal plan, certainly for me, I don't hide that fact. And so I'm just excited that, I'm a big believer in plans. I believe, but if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so the idea that we've codified something in a document that we should be looking towards in what our next steps are. And so I'm just excited that this seems to be the final comprehensive step, so.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I think the bottom line here is that we included multimodal, our green energy, the DREAM plan, otherwise known as sustainability, and the property rights under the Florida legislature, which we have respected and already do. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Yeah, I wouldn't even attempt to try to repeat that. That was great, Vice Mayor.
Commissioner Twanga?
I agree with the Vice Mayor, and I also want to thank the staff for a lot of work in this.
Yeah.
I know there's things in here that we may not have been particularly happy about. We've discussed them before, and but we follow all the requirements, and probably more than all the requirements, and probably that's why we get awards for what you guys do in the end when you put this together. So I'm happy that we're seeing this at the end of the year for Commissioner Kynes being in here, and so she can smile. And I just want to thank you. Thanks.
I agree. What's really exciting is we're actually updating our comprehensive plan. Like, we finished it, and now we're updating it in a timely manner. Yay!
Yes,
You are.
on time.
You know what I'm saying? So that means you two are rock stars because you're staying on top of it. It's being monitored, it's being managed, and the expectations are continuing to be set. So that's a huge change to where we were in the last 10 years.
Yep.
So thank you for that process happening.
It's all for
Francis?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Michelle, roll call vote.
Commissioner Franny?
Aye.
Commissioner Torga?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kynes?
Aye.
Commissioner Gao?
Aye.
And Mayor Bujalski?
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. The proposed amendment will be transmitted to the Department of Economic Opportunity and other reviewing agencies for an expedited state review. So our second reading will be to be determined. All right. Now we have the William Gay Settlement Agreement, Nikki, and then we have Deborah Bab Nutcher on Zoom here with us today. I'm gonna look, there we go. Okay. All right, how do you want to handle
I'm going
this,
to turn
Nikki?
this matter over to Deborah and Jennifer to present. Thank you for being able to be with us here this morning via Zoom. Deborah and her law firm served as the city's counsel in the case, though she appropriately, involved us at different decision points that would, involve the city attorney's role. But I'm happy to turn it over to her for this brief agenda item.
Okay. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me appear via Zoom. So this is a mediated settlement agreement in the William Gay case. It was an allegation of sunshine violations. If anyone wants me to explain what the allegations were, I'm happy to. But
I think it's important, Deborah, I think it's important because if the public is watching this, they need to know how this all came about and.
Sure. The basic allegations are that a couple years ago, there was a settlement of a code lien litigation. It was a pretty hotly contested matter, but the former city attorneys at the time felt that because it was something that stemmed from the code enforcement department and it was a settlement that was within the city manager's spending authority, that the settlement could be achieved without the necessity of having it come to the commission for approval. And we still stand by that. That was our defense in the case, was that that was appropriate for that particular circumstance. It was a very unique circumstance because the lien had been determined not to be a valid lien to begin with. So that was the former city attorney and litigation counsel's opinion. So Mr. Gay is not a citizen of the city, but he apparently found out about the settlement and filed a lawsuit under the Sunshine Act, claiming that this settlement should have been put on an agenda for approval by the commission and open to the public for public input on the settlement of that previous case. We have been defending that case for a while now, and we ended up having a mediation on October 27th, and the parties all came together. It was a good result, a $50,000 settlement. I feel it was a good result considering the circumstances, considering that this was really a business decision that you all are making in terms of the amount of money that's been spent fighting it up till this point, the amount of money that would still have to be paid to complete the litigation. We had depositions that were set. I was about to take the plaintiff's deposition. Plaintiff's attorney was about to take many of your depositions and the city manager's deposition. And we also had a hearing scheduled on we had filed a motion for summary judgment to try to get all the issues resolved without going to a trial. And that was going to be a lot of fees and costs involved in having that hearing. And then you have to think about the risk that you face. If we didn't win the summary judgment hearing, then we would have to go to trial, and the risk of not succeeding at trial. So those were some of the things to think about: the risk involved, the litigation costs that you're saving at this point to resolve it now. And I believe you all have a copy of the mediated settlement agreement. It is subject to your approval. The mediation discussions that we had during mediation, they are confidential, but I can answer, particular questions about the document, the mediated settlement agreement, any questions you may have. What's important to point out about this settlement agreement is there's no admission of liability by the city, and there is a full release of all liability. It's actually a mutual release. Everybody releases each other from any claims that could have come out of this fact pattern.
Thank you for highlighting that last point, Deborah, for the commission. That's in paragraph 8 of the settlement agreement explicitly, that there is no, it's not an admission of any liability or wrongdoing as a result of executing the agreement. So thank you for pointing that out. And just for the commission, that's explicitly in paragraph 8.
Thank you, Deborah. Jennifer, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Nothing further, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions for Deborah, Jennifer, or Nikki? No?
No. There's no public.
I will ask for public input, but there's not a single soul sitting in our audience now, not even our staff. So,
They've all left us.
come back to, can I have a motion to approve the settlement agreement?
So moved.
Second. Okay, Commissioner Franny and Vice Mayor Kynes. Thank you. Commissioner Franny, any final comments?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you know, this makes me crazy to vote yes on this, but I'm going to. I think we followed the advice of our prior attorneys. We did, in my view, we did nothing wrong. Being a prior risk manager, I never like to settle. I like to fight on, even if it's going to cost us some extra money to do that. But having talked at length prior to this meeting with the attorneys involved and the city manager, and understanding all the issues and risks of this, I think this is the right thing to do for the city and for the citizens' money that we protect. Makes me crazy still, but I do think this is exactly what it's been reflected as. It's a business decision, and sometimes some business decisions you have to plug your nose and vote yes, and that is what I intend to do today.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, as Deborah pointed out, and our city attorney, Nikki, there is no admission of liability, and all parties are released by this negotiated settlement with prejudice. With prejudice means it is done. It is over. There's no further action by anyone. Correct? I mean, if you can correct me.
You are correct.
Thank you. Therefore, I think at this point, on considering any further costs, I think this is appropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Torringer, any final comments?
I can just make a summary. To put bad money after bad money makes no sense, business decision. We just have to, I have to vote yes.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm going to vote yes as well, but it's painful when you do the right thing, you're following council's advice, and still somebody can make accusations or say things, and you have to hold your nose at the end. It's
Yeah.
a little frustrating.
I agree with that. I don't like to settle a whole lot, but there is a financial situation that we have to consider. Well, and there's an effort consideration as well. I mean, we're trying to fill all the positions we have. I'd rather have us focused on that than stopping and having meetings on this. Mm-hmm. In addition, we know that the person involved in this has filed many lawsuits. We're not his only person, or group. So, anyway, I am in support of doing this. I would agree that the biggest point here is we didn't do anything wrong, and there is no admission of that. Our city manager did nothing wrong in her decision-making, doing what she did, doing her job that she does every single day, and all of a sudden this obscure thing gets plucked out as if it's a problem. So, rock on, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Torringa?
Aye.
Commissioner Gao?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kynes?
Aye.
Commissioner Franny?
Aye.
And Mayor Bujalski?
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Deborah, thank you very much. Nikki, Jennifer,
you.
Thanks for getting us through this. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, Deborah.
All right. All right, we have the proposed agenda for December 6th. So we've got a couple of things that we need to discuss, changes and that kind of thing. Hold on, let me get where I'm going. I'm assuming LPA will be on the consent here for the 6th. Do they have, when is their next meeting?
December 14th.
Okay, so it won't be on this. Okay, never mind. And then, we are doing the commission liaisons
Yes.
is being added to this. And then did we determine, Jennifer, before we approve this with that addition, did we determine you two were just talking before the meeting about the 13th and the 15th. Oh, we know we're having the 13th, never mind.
Yeah, you know what?
We know that because of Marina.
What I'd like to do about that, Mayor, having thought about it a little bit more, is that, as you know, I was out last week, so I missed agenda review. And we have one more meeting to decide that, right? The second-
Gotcha.
So I'd like to, we have a department head meeting Saturday, and I'd really like to go through the department heads to find out if anybody has anything emergent that needs to
Right.
be on those agendas or.
Well, we
you
know the 13th is going to be the Marina study or whatever it is, so that's.
Well, no, at this point, apparently it is not, and I did not know that. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
but that said, I
We
mean.
want to find out all those
Right.
things. Okay, so for now, we're not changing anything, even though it has the proposed agenda for the 13th on there, because we don't know what.
I'll be able to tell you on the 6th, for sure. And
Yeah,
then you can take
and
your
that's
action.
fine.
Right, okay.
Okay, so with the addition of the commission liaison discussion, is there a motion to approve?
I would approve. Am I supposed to approve? I'm
You
not going to be
can.
here.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're
I
here
approve.
now.
I approve.
You're here now.
This is your chance, add something horrible to it. No,
Stop
come on,
it.
put
Is
it
there a
in.
second?
Yes, second.
Commissioner Franny. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And then we have the 8th, which is, kind of a,
We have one item, a presentation, right?
yeah, we have a presentation. So, see, that's what I wanted to do before we did this.
Well, presentations, we add and delete without,
I would like to move up that presentation to the 6th. I mean, there's no point in meeting.
so what I'd like to do then is, I need to circle back with former Deputy Street to see if he's available for that presentation, and if not, if he's available in January, and then you can cancel that meeting.
Yeah, because there's no reason to meet for
Right.
one presentation.
But again, if we're going to cancel a Thursday meeting, I'd rather it be the 15th versus the 8th, so
I think
want to
most
make sure
likely,
we're looking at all our
Yeah.
stuff.
Probably
you
going
know.
to be both.
yes,
Okay.
Commissioner, from everything I'm hearing, so I was able to check with George, and I was able to check with Chuck about bids, because we have several bids out there. And those are the two things that are usually time-sensitive. But like I said, I needed to talk to the department directors. Most likely, from what I'm hearing, the 15th would be canceled.
Anyway.
And right now, we're looking at the 13th, too. So, but like I said, I need to take a step back and talk to staff to make sure there's nothing I'm missing here.
You meant the 8th and the 15th,
Can't-
I think.
No, she's talking about 13th too.
Oh, 13th and 15th.
Yes.
So, okay, so you're going to find out, yes, ma'am.
This is really helpful discussion. Two things that you will need to do at some point before the end of the year, so as we're thinking about what meetings you want to put them on. First, I'm not sure if I saw it on either of these, but you have your annual December discussions that you do where you set
Yes,
your
they're
meetings.
all there.
Okay.
Yep.
So
That was why we were adding the
Calendar.
liaison, that was the one piece that
Yeah,
was missing.
that one obviously.
all on the
Great.
6th.
Okay, perfect.
Eighth, whatever.
I'm flipping back and forth between the two of them,
Yeah.
so I can't always see the list. And then the second thing is with the Charter Review Committee referendum failing, you need to appoint a Charter Review Committee at one of these two meetings, or three that you're discussing. So I was going to report on that as part of my report, just to get you thinking about that process, but it's important, I
Does it
think
have
that.
to be in December?
It's important that we act as quickly as possible, and I think being in the calendar year is more helpful. But I also, obviously, you have
But
a
I
new
think we need to
commission.
talk to people.
You have a new commission coming in, and you may want to talk to people. So I think as long as
Yeah.
you hit early January,
January, I think is
but you
better.
really want to be trying to get that now impaneled as quickly as possible and get that new process started. And I know, again, but that way, yeah, and that might give us a good time frame, Mayor, to look at, January, and then a completion date for the Charter Review Committee, within that year.
Right. Well, and that one shouldn't take long at all. I mean,
We just did it.
We just did it.
But yes, we will, but just to keep that on your radar, so if we want to aim and target the January meeting because of those timing elements, and certainly have another commissioner that is going to want to think about that process too. So, but I just wanted to keep that out there
And
for,
usually, each one of us brings forward
Is it 7 members on that, or?
I think so, 7 or 9, I don't remember. But I mean, each one of us generally, there's usually an application,
somebody, yeah.
but each one of us is allowed to appoint somebody, no questions asked kind of a thing.
well, and it would be nice too, if maybe we can do, one of those meetings is just get the applications out, so that way the applications can begin coming in for the commission to be able to consider in January. But if we can be looking at, beginning those steps in December, that would be the best way to, act expediently to comply with the charter.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay,
And who
thank
was
you
on
for.
it before? Who was on it the
Yeah.
last time?
Yeah, who's been on it for the
So,
last couple of times,
and
because we've had so
philosophically,
many
is it
of
like
them.
you want repeaters or new people,
It's, fresh information
just-
as of last
I'm
week.
I think new people is better, actually, to be honest with you,
Well,
because
that's, I mean,
there's so
just
many
thinking
new
of
people here,
philosophy,
and getting
right.
them involved.
So let me get with the clerk's office, because obviously we're going to advertise and that
Right,
whole
it'll
thing's
take
gonna
some
take a
time,
while.
but then each
Yeah.
one of us will be able to point some.
It's fresh information as of last week, but that's why I just wanted to be sure to bring it up. And so one of my city attorney report items is now accomplished in our scheduling discussion.
And the other one was approved, right? The second one, the ordinance
Yes,
one
the
was approved.
ordinance
It was the
review
other one that
committee,
got
you
failed.
So
now-
that's now it's whenever we want.
As you deem fit.
Necessary.
Yes.
I have to say, a lot of people asking me about that, and I'm like,
And not.
vote whatever you think, because I said, we don't have a
And not
strong.
without, that, again, I'm not just in general, the rationale that you all had, why there was a difference between the two as well, is because of the changes that you have implemented on the front end of your legislation. So you were almost always doing an ordinance review through volunteer committees that are volunteering their time, that are appointed, that are putting in a lot of effort. And so I think there's also, a different process that's in place than was in the 70s. Just things have changed in terms of how you enact ordinances.
Sure, and we're getting ready to do the
Land
big
development.
code, land development code rewrite, which is gonna, involve all kinds of committees.
Absolutely. So great, but thank you for that additional time to discuss that scheduling aspect.
Okay, so for right now, we're going to keep, it seems silly to vote on the December 8th agenda until you tell us. How do we do the vote and still give her permission to cancel it? How do we do that? She's got to check on Charlie Street's availability to move up to Tuesday or go to I think we cancel this and then you tell us when.
We'll check
That's
with-
what we do.
Right.
Okay, got it. I just need to say it out loud.
Unless you had an agenda, that's an appropriate.
Got it. It just I needed to walk that through. Okay, so, is there a consensus agreement to cancel the 8th meeting and move Charlie to his convenience?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
All right, there we go. So that one goes away. All right. We don't have any workshop items, right?
No workshop items.
I didn't see any emails on commission discussion items. City clerk's update.
No update.
Okay. City manager's update.
Just a really quick update on our cybersecurity issue, and I think that this will probably be my last update. We are almost back to normal. I think that all of our outlooking, if you will, systems are up and running with the exception of community development, and that's the permitting process. We are pressing the accelerator on going to the new software program that we have through our ERP, and I have authorized additional staff for community development to help with the backlog that they have as a result, and to help them communicate with the public as well. So, again, I just want to thank our IT staff first and foremost, and also our finance and HR, and for all the hard work that they did during a very unique, what I feel is hopefully a unique event.
Yeah.
Something that in 33 years I hadn't anticipated would happen to us. And we are, actually, that's all I'm going to say at this point.
Yeah.
We'll have additional reporting, which I will work with all of you on.
Can you tell us when you think the new permitting system will be up? Because I'm getting questions about that for sure.
Mayor, I can give you a report in December. I need to talk to staff about that.
Gotcha.
Exactly where we are.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't have the answer for
That's
you.
all right. Anything else?
No, ma'am. Thank you for the approving my annual leave. I'm refreshed and feel about at least 25 years
Could
younger.
we have stopped you? You went and spent time with your grandchildren.
Not on that one.
We could not have stopped you on that one.
Well, I must say that I've kind of, I'm here twinkle, twinkle, little star going through my mind like.
It's a
That's
wonderful
cute.
thing.
My little grandson sings it constantly, so.
Yeah. Any questions for Jennifer? Yep.
So we just got an email, I don't know if it went to everybody, but I got it. And it was a couple that walks on Edgewater Drive sidewalk, we've talked about this. Did everybody get that email?
I did. I sent it on FYI.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
It wasn't signed,
Signed.
yeah, it was, but still,
no, it's important.
it's a thing, I mean, because I walk that too, and it's a thing, and you're constantly moving over, and I mean, I get it, I don't know the answer, the obvious answer is for it to be, I guess, a wider sidewalk, but I don't know what the answer is, but it is an issue, I mean, and it cracks me up sometimes because, and God bless you, I know you're a bicyclist, but I mean, like, really? Like, we have to move off the sidewalk for the bicycle as they ring their bell and you're gonna get knocked? I mean, it's a thing, and I don't know the answer, but I get what the gentleman is saying in the email. It's a problem.
So the email was that, I don't know if you all got it.
We all did.
You all did, okay. So the issue was bicycles on Edgewater from really,
It is.
right, from
Sharing the
Skinner all the
sidewalk.
way to, to Union. And, sharing the sidewalk. I don't have the answer to that either. I was-
So
know either.
so you guys might remember when we had that big Alt 19,
Yeah.
facilitated sort of town
Yeah.
hall, okay,
And what
from
happened with
FDOT.
that?
Okay, so they created a plan for Alt 19 from Tarpon Springs all the way to St. Pete, okay? And in our portion of the plan was to widen that sidewalk, because remember, we were gonna do artistic benches, and they were going to reconstruct the road to add a bike lane. It's not even close to being in their work plan. I've asked about it.
Yeah.
The big focus, okay, has been the Curlew intersection to go to the causeway and what happens with that, right? And then some of the crosswalks we're looking at, along Alt 19, and then
Sinking. I mean, they should all be the same.
right, and then we're looking at the other one that I've been pushing really, really hard for is the intersection at the marina.
Oh,
And
yes.
that whole
Right.
thing and how,
comment about that.
because of the safety issues, because of the lack of a crosswalk, because of the timing, is there a way to get golf carts through there to go to the marina without having going on, the whole thing. It's a thing there. I can tell you that, and I know, Mo, you've been a huge advocate to try to be on Forward Pinellas. After me, if you're the
Right.
one, let Alt 19 or Edgewater become your next flag flying, because,
Right.
I can't ask for everything. I do, I ask for everything, but they are the ones that sort of dictate those priorities.
It is interesting though, because it really is it's the poster child case of, and I'll say this with Commissioner Gao, because you pound the drum all the time, where we've created this, it's just a car-centric, and it's like somehow we got to think big, think bold, and not let the cars rule, because, we kind of got the walkers and we got the cars, and then, even on the trail, you get some of those issues. But I had a laugh the other day during Wines of Blues. There's a crowded sidewalk walking down the trail. Everybody's walking on the trail. It's Wines of Blues. And along comes somebody ringing their bell, not getting off their bike and walking the bike through crowds of people. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So, it just goes back to common sense, but I agree with you. I think widening the sidewalk's the only an immediate answer, even though sometimes
even
I
with
think
that-
bolder is in creating creating a better layout of multimodal is really where it's at, but that's its whole other thing, but.
I saw, and I honestly thought I was hallucinating, but I saw this guy on the electric scooter, and it was right around going down the middle of the street between the marina and, say, CC Riders to Broadway, right in that area. In the middle of the street, hello. I was like, oh, surely I'm not seeing this, but.
Oh, no, you
the
saw it. I've
e-scooters,
seen that too.
it's, and I certainly see them on John Grant Hubbard Linear Park.
It's constant, you are constantly, and it's constantly, an accident waiting to happen on that particular linear park walkway, but I got you. No, I get it.
And
It's
so,
just
I
not an
mean,
easy
it's
answer.
not that I don't think we shouldn't, and it's possible, I mean, maybe what we should be doing is asking for them to do some kind of, I mean, you know, traffic planners or transportation planners, that's all they do is a study after a study after a study. Maybe what we can do is say, we need you to widen the sidewalk, we need you to do a study on the bike versus the pedestrian, do a study, widen the sidewalk. Maybe you can't reconstruct the whole road at this point to add a bike lane, which was their original recommendation.
Right,
but-
well, that's the ideal, that there's a bike lane.
Right, because
That's
then,
exactly
but,
what
I mean, we
should
wanted
have
both.
happened.
We wanted both,
No,
anyway, I
I get
mean,
it.
we wanted something both.
And you know, on that question, you're really gonna need to rely on some of the comments from the Edgewater Advisory Committee.
Oh, yeah, we've talked to
Because
them.
they'll be seeing they're seeing it,
Oh, they've been seeing it.
yeah.
Right, I
Yeah.
know.
Can I ask a question? This is based on this conversation, Forward Pinellas previously, and a meeting that I went to this Saturday. And a lady who was a nurse, we were talking about bicycles in Dunedin in general, including from the causeway, the trail, everything. And she said, hey, she said, I have a client who is now permanently disabled and was on his bike, stopped, and a lady came on her bike and was very rude, knocked him over, didn't even probably know it, and now he's paying it for the rest of his life. And that's a simple accident. We know this is occurring. Who pays for the sidewalk on that part of our transportation system? Who actually pays for it?
At the Hubbard Linear Park? Or-
Yeah, yes, yes.
That's city, yeah.
So city pays for the sidewalk.
No?
No.
Okay.
If it's a state road, it's a state expense.
If it's a state, we should figure.
Just like this whole sidewalk stuff for Skinner, although the reason we're doing what we're doing. But if it was 580 and they have to fix sidewalks, it's their,
Actually
I
assumed it
wondered
was-
about
I
who-
assumed it was
who-
us because it's within our park. So I could double check on that.
We should
Probably
find
we
that
own
out.
land. You don't think we own that land?
Well,
yeah, we own that land. No, we don't own all that land.
You had to get.
Some of that land is owned by the people on the other
Oh,
side.
no, I get that, but it's not the state that owns the
But
land. with
The state is in
sidewalk
charge
is.
of the sidewalk.
I believe
Okay.
it's,
But-
if
but
it's in
you
the right of
will-
way, then it's the state. If it's not, then it's us. So I can double check that.
Yeah.
So we
I'll
should
find
find out who.
Then we can
We
control
should
our-
find out who pays for that, and then regardless of who pays for it, we should go and implement that, because it's a real thing. It exists.
It is a
We've
real
been all watching it exist, and maybe we should stop watching it. And maybe we should, even if we had to create a smaller lane alongside the sidewalk and say this is for bicycles, but bicycles should not be riding on that. There's too many people on that. There's too many, if I may, I don't want to say elderly, how do I say this? There's some people that may not be quite aware and be able to react as quickly as what others may. In fact, they can't, I've watched it and they sit, all of a sudden, bam, people go past them. It really is serious on that section. And I think we can kick it, we can go back, but we know that anybody that's responsible from a committee or a board would agree with this.
Right.
And it's serious.
But
So
the
we should make it an issue, I think.
The e-scooters and e-bikes, they add a whole nother layer.
Well, they should
Absolutely.
definitely not be on there.
Absolutely.
They
But
shouldn't be
they're
on
on
all
there.
19 either.
But they're on there. They are on
They
there.
are on there.
And so we either have to give another way for them to get around, or.
So if in fact
kick
that's
them out
our
the street.
sidewalk, then potentially we should agendize and talk about this.
So let me do this if I may. First of all, ascertain ownership, obviously that's important. And then, once we ascertain that, I'll have a discussion with staff about possible solutions.
And
to
they
the
may end up
situation.
determining we own it, but I will tell you, in that final Alt 19 report, the plan is to widen that sidewalk on the water side I've asked about it several times because we wanted to do the artistic benches and we wanted to sort of plan that out, right?
And art in public places.
Right, and to honor John was part of that. And we've been waiting and waiting, waiting for them to write, you know, so I'm pretty sure I'm right, but you
As
may
the
well be,
mayor, as the
Mayor.
mayor said, if it's not in their work
Yeah,
plan,
but
it ain't happening for
No.
5 years.
Not even close.
It ain't happening, so if we
not
wanna
in their
make it
work plan.
happen, we gotta figure out how to do that.
Yeah, and if it's on us, I'm sure there'll be a lot of issues with the land, because like you say, there's property ownership
Right.
stuff over there right and left, and it wouldn't be cheap even if we could straight out do it, so, but I think we should definitely talk about it, because it's totally an issue, and I mean, and actually, the last couple times I've been on there, there's two of us and my best friend's daughter with her baby pushing the car, and then along
Yes.
comes these bikes, and you,
Yep, yep.
Well, a long time ago, remember, people along Edgewater Drive gave their riparian rights. Many of them did. There's a few that said no.
yeah, I think there's a few that said no. They obviously
There's a
allowed the
few that
sidewalk,
said
though.
no.
Is there a sidewalk on the, there's a sidewalk on the east side?
Yes, yes, there is.
So maybe it's bikes on the sidewalk on the east side only.
What's I'm thinking is there.
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
a solution.
I mean, if we say, you know, I mean, yeah, there's gonna be some enforcement and education, but if we just, I mean, not everybody will like that. I'm just saying as a quicker fix, if, you know, because that's a straight shot, right? Where, it's a straight sidewalk, whereas on the west side, it's curvy, it's meant to be slower. It's meant to be,
Well, you know, it's interesting, I don't mean to interrupt, Mayor, but, so we have bicyclists here, walkers and joggers, and in summertime, joggers are on the east side because it's in the shade. So, you know, this will impact everybody, and it's,
I
you know.
understand, but I mean, if we really have, that's why I feel like there should be maybe some kind of study. But Forward Pinellas can pay for that. If we, I mean, I say they can. They
Well, I
might be
mean-
very willing to pay for that as an intermediary until like a next step. If they can be looking who's on one side versus the other and where is the biggest danger do we see? And I mean, I would think for bikes, it would be better to be on a straight sidewalk, you know, versus a curvy one.
Well, the question I've got, and I'll ask our bicyclist over here, what's so bad about telling the bikes, go to the trail? Go to the trail.
Because they wanna ride the water, but
Right.
you're
I
right.
get
No,
it.
you're right.
I get it,
We have to do
but
it, we have to, if we
in
want
the-
safety and security, that's
Either on the road or
paramount.
on the trail.
Paramount.
But we can't tell them to get on the road yet. That's the I mean, they
Well,
will.
but they've
It
got
is
the-
there. There's the Sharrows or whatever you call it.
Right, there's all the pictures of like, yeah, you're supposed to be on the.
But nobody will do that. A lot of people, unless
Jeff
they're
doesn't
like
wanna
a
talk.
heavy
Don't feel safe
duty,
What's that?
long distance biker.
Yeah, and I get that, I do get that, I totally get that.
I don't know how.
Don't want them on the sidewalk, make it safe, make the road safer.
And that has,
No, I
That's
I
the
agree
reason
with
they're on
that.
the sidewalk.
but it has.
No, but that's not gonna happen. That's not even
Yeah.
realistic at this point.
It isn't.
What
So
is
it's finding
realistic
it
is an
something that-
intermediate step.
Yeah, and I
For
think it
safety and
could be
security,
where
we
we
have to do
say,
That's right.
you know, you guys are on one side and the other guys are on the other, and that's it. Until we get this fixed.
So, yeah, yeah.
But again, that's a whole process. I'm certainly willing to help with all of that. We'll talk after or whatever. I can talk to Whit, and you know, and let's face it, Whit is an avid bicycler, or whatever you want to call, and anything that hinders a bike rider, he's very sensitive to. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, and if he's a bicyclist, and you've got markings on a road, and bicyclists don't feel safe on the road, then I don't get that.
No, I don't disagree.
Right.
Because
I don't.
it's
He and
not-
I
Like,
fight
why
about
would-
this all the time.
right,
trust
why would
me.
you put
It's
markings
an
on the
ongoing
road?
battle.
When you get behind a bicyclist, and I do this in Clearwater, and their space is like this, I'm
Yes.
telling you, a bicycle. I mean, they don't have enough room for any, you hit a rock, you hit anything,
No, I
and
get
they're
that.
gonna flip right over into, unless they have more cushion. And, I mean, am I wrong on that, Jeff? I mean, it scares me to drive, because I'm worried if they accidentally.
I'm thinking, if
There-
they knew who was driving behind them, they'd
I
be
knew that was
terrified.
coming. I knew that was coming.
They'd be like, uh-oh, that's that Deborah Kynes car, like, get out of the way.
Well, look, you
Thank
know,
you.
It took us over and over to get a solution over at the trail and Skinner.
Yeah.
But let's face it, I'm sure people do it, but I have not seen anybody run through that light. Meaning cars or bikes at Skinner and the trail.
Oh, I haven't either.
Since that light,
No.
I mean,
I
I'm
get it.
sure there's something. But, I mean, I would see it every day, is my point. And so I think we just all have to put our really intelligent minds together and get everybody in the room and say, fix this. Just like Honeymoon Island, even though they come kicking and screaming. And they do come kicking and screaming. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions for the city manager? I have one. Trying to get a sense of our deadline to have our offices cleaned out, because the holidays are coming, and when are we
Right, good
moving? And, I mean, I'm about halfway there, but
So
I'm no way there, so.
it's time to get there.
no, I know.
Yeah.
So this is what I like,
Yeah.
when do you think, like, you're gonna, and you don't have to tell us this second, but we need like a drop dead date
Right.
of being,
You have
do I have to pack my own boxes or what? Or is it just get everything that's going over there? And do I get boxes or?
We will provide the boxes. You, I know that you've been going through a lot of, the paperwork
16
with
years worth
Andrea.
of paperwork.
Right. I'm not sure about the answer about whether
I'm
you have
trying
to
to be
pack your
nice
box.
to you.
I think
They
middle,
didn't go through their crap when I got left with it. Just saying.
All right.
Just saying.
so Manhattan is still maintained, that'll be middle part of December. And if you look at the site, there are a lot of, workers there. So I haven't heard anything different. That said, I have not spoken to anybody about that since before the hurricane. So
Right. 'cause
they did
it's
have to
been a while.
demobilize again, partially anyway, but because of the tropical storm. So I need to double check. You really should have everything cleared out by the beginning of December.
The beginning of December?
Yeah, because then you have
That's never going to happen for
then
me.
you have the holidays
I'm
and
gone
all
next
those sorts
week.
of things. So we'll give you another
Completely.
week then, but I mean,
When are you
really,
tearing down this building? Because to me, that's my drop dead. That
well, you have that in a workshop.
was a joke, John, come on.
In January, you have a workshop, we have a report, we've done all the surveys of the building itself, and we have a full report, which is what you wanted to see. So we'll do that in January. And then, but your offices will be up and running, available before then, obviously. So, as soon as you can get your stuff done, you should get your stuff done.
Well,
just
see
in
if you
terms of-
can, see if you can, I
We
think
don't have
all
to
of
have it
us,
done Until we can actually move into our new office.
yeah, but if you want
Sounds like
somebody to
fun.
carry your stuff over there,
I
I'm not
will-
going to make
I'm
them
not
carry it
con-
over after the
I'm
fact.
not-
Right, the way that we were staging it, though, the last two departments to go over are the city commission and the city manager's office. So IT is the first, and we, finances, we wanted to get them in fast because they're going through the budget, but they're done with that now, because, we are delayed, and so the order of the move, the relocation, I have to go back over, and talk to staff about, but we will be moving incrementally, not all in one day. And when I was working for Coral Springs, we actually did it all in one weekend in a 74,000 square foot building. Yeah, so,
It's probably good, just,
yeah,
you just do it, right?
Yeah, well, just,
but we're not going to do that. We
no,
don't
you're
have
going to find out. I'm just trying to put a bug in your ear.
But I mean, really, genuinely though, because the holidays are coming up, because you're all busy, because you have all the events, we need to be working on that, as much as you can, as much as you're able to work on it.
I thought staff would just want to keep us over here for indefinitely.
I have no comment. No, just kidding. Of course not. We're all going over together.
Okay.
She's got her fingers crossed.
Yeah, you saw that under her table, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, and then
Good
there,
question, though.
the city attorney does have, thank you, Jennifer. The city attorney does have another item, I think.
I
you wanted
do
to
have
bring
one
forward.
item. The purpose of this city attorney report item is to advise the city commission that Rob Eschenfelder, the city's counsel in the litigation Keystone Excavators, Inc. versus City of Dunedin, which is presently pending in the 6th Judicial Circuit Court in and for Pinellas County, Florida's Circuit Civil Division, case number 19001919 CI, desires advice concerning the litigation, and therefore requests that the city commission and the city manager as chief administrative and executive officer meet in a private attorney-client session with the city's attorneys pursuant to section 286.011 subsection 8 of Florida statutes. The estimated length of the session is 90 minutes. I understand that November 18th at 11 a.m. may have been cleared as a potential amenable time. Therefore, unless there are issues with that date, we will proceed to make the appropriate arrangements for notice, and I understand a court reporter has already been arranged to attend the attorney-client session.
Any questions? Okay, so we'll meet in here because we have to announce the meeting to the public.
You will open the meeting with the doors open, and then when you go into your closed session, they will be closed and they will be locked, and then you will reopen in an open
close the
session.
meeting.
So Commissioner Kynes, you're not done yet.
I thought you were going to tell me I didn't have to come.
No, you gotta
come. No, I'm teasing. I will be
I
here.
didn't mean to wait till the end on that one,
can
especially
still bring
because the
you
mayor
back.
was giving you a hard time. But, okay, we'll get with the clerk's office and be sure that gets noticed accordingly.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, so now we have commission comments. Vice Mayor,
No.
liaison positions.
Oh, well, I'll be giving up my liaison positions with the Dunedin Fine Arts Center and the Dunedin History Museum. And so I'm sure that will be discussed on your December meeting, and I have already told my liaisons that they will be quickly having a new liaison commissioner.
Okay. Anything?
No, I mean, Celtic Festival's Saturday. so we
Well,
should
that was
say
what
that,
I'm
right?
supposed to
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry,
Because
'cause
that's
that's your-
my liaison position.
All right, well,
But
I'm
go
just-
right ahead, Mo.
I'm sorry, I'm just excited
You know,
about it.
Mo-
It's always one of my favorite things, so.
Mo, you're
I'm-
staying between her and I
know.
right now.
Yeah, you need to sit here and keep a
Yeah,
buffer,
I
right,
think
you
I
know?
gotta switch.
Yeah, no, I was elected yesterday to be on the executive board for Tampa Bay Regional Planning, and so I'm excited about that, but of course, before I accepted, I said, my first priority is to get on Forward Pinellas, and as soon as I have that chance, I'm, boom. Even though, you know, potentially I can run through that chain, but other than that, I don't really have anything. That's
Okay.
it, other than trotting on your turf.
That's okay,
That's
you
all.
do it all the time. Commissioner Torga?
Thank you very much. I'd like to remind everyone about Dunedin Cares. They are in, I spoke with them last Friday. They are in, I don't want to say dire, but they're desperate for continuation of support from all the residents and all the citizens, particularly through the Thanksgiving and the Christmas holiday. And we have lots of challenging things to do because we've got lots of people in need throughout Florida now because of the storms. So, but for us, we got to keep a focus here on making sure that our folks are taken care of as well. So I just want to remind you of that. Also, we had a wonderful Marine Corps birthday, November 10 and November 11. We had a wonderful presentation for Veterans Day. In addition to that, I received a call from a resident whose daughter was at Curtis Fundamental, and they have a special presentation there. And their daughter didn't have anybody in the family that had been a veteran. And I pointed out, well, she does because I'm a friend, and so I can be her veteran. So I went to there, and I'd like to tell you that I got it. Now, you know this isn't about me. I got I don't need a certificate for this stuff. Certificate of Appreciation, gratefully presented to John Torringa in recognition of service to our country, thankfully given in the honor of Veterans Day. Here's what it's all about. In honor of Veterans Day on 11/11/2022 by the students and staff of Curtis Fundamental Elementary School. And these little kids stood there and they would introduce us. It was just fantastic, but the fact that our school did that and all of his kids supported that, it was wonderful. I just want to make a quick comment. The presentation that Dunedin did, the first one, for Veterans Day was just absolutely
It
wonderful.
was superlative.
It was.
It
It was
was
amazing
perfect.
It was.
I thoroughly
in every way.
enjoyed it. It was a special day. And so all congratulations to the people that worked so hard to put that on.
And as we have all said, we are a veteran city. We've all made that statement. By that, I mean we all support our veterans, and that's just fantastic. We do have a large number of veterans here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that event was really nice. And people are like, how is that Dunedin's first? Well, it really isn't. Curlew Hills does a veterans thing every year.
It's the VFWs.
And I think most of us, would go over there, but people don't think of Curlew Hills as being Dunedin. This is in the heart of Dunedin. The VFW wanted it to be more, I guess, more intimate, if you will. Of course, we, several of us went back to the VFW after. That was a nice day. And then the next day, there, Xanadu Race Management, Suzanne Hensley and Mike Menino had a Veterans Day race for veterans, where all veterans who wanted to race were free, and a few of the veterans from the VFW came over, and then they had a pancake breakfast. So all in all, it was a great weekend celebrating our veterans, and appreciate that. Yes, there is a Celtic Festival. You guys should have seen
Well, hasn't that
emails
been
regarding
announced
your
already?
tickets and all of that
Hasn't that been
stuff.
announced already? Sorry.
Are
Yeah.
you interrupting again?
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. I got to pick on her. That's-
I wanted to congratulate Jeff and his family on the wedding of his daughter.
Thank you.
That's a big thing.
It was a big thing.
That's a huge thing.
And I'm sorry I missed all the,
Well,
Veterans Day.
I announced that you
Yes, you
were
did.
with your daughter, as you should be. So,
sadly, for a brief second, I was thinking about attending both, but I thought,
That could get you killed. in the-
yeah, that would not work out well for me.
Everyone
No.
understood fully.
no. On Forward Pinellas, yes, I was appointed the secretary. That vote happened last week.
Congratulations.
So I am now on the executive committee. That's that. The Highland Games. I'm trying to think of,
I have one more other. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
It might be, are you gonna do, but are we gonna say when are we gonna say Happy Thanksgiving?
At the end.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Give me a chance. I don't remember what the other liaison things I do right at the moment, so I'm sorry. I'm sure there's something else for me to report, but we'll work on the bicycle sidewalk issue
Great.
on Edgewater.
Oh, what about the CVB?
Oh, yeah.
Tony on?
So we were supposed to meet with the county this last week and have a joint meeting with the Tourist Development Council Board and I was, by the way, I was reappointed. So I will serve to the end of my term here, because my term was up.
For CVB? Good, that's great, that's good for
Yeah,
you,
which is,
good for the
well,
city.
it's great for Dunedin.
It's great for Dunedin, absolutely.
So because of the tropical storm that came through, they canceled the meeting, so I don't know when the next one is. But one of the things that we want to talk about is, this law that has been passed, or use that's been passed by the state in the last few years of bed tax for certain kinds of infrastructure that support tourism. I'm not talking about water pipes and that kind of thing, or even law enforcement. No, we're talking about things like transit that support, like express service from the airport to the beach kind of thing, or Jolly Trolley, or the ferry stuff, those kinds of things that directly support tourism. So we'll see how that conversation goes. We've had that conversation 3 years in a row, and it's not gone well. I think there is an opening now, especially with where the world is going, with inflation and other things. I think there is an opening. I don't know if it's enough of one. I can tell you which side I stand on. That's a lot of money that is not being spent anywhere else.
What's the executive director feel?
He's in support of it. Because if you remember, when we were going after the money for the Jays, right? Remember the big long list of all the different projects they had on there? All those projects are done. We're past them now. The only two things left are the Phillies and the Rays. Now, the Rays will be a huge nut. Huge, but it doesn't mean that that isn't long-term. And the only other thing that's being spent in there right now is the little 3.5% that they put towards beach renourishment. That's it. So to have a few transit projects, I'm not talking about high-speed rail here, I'm talking about things that will, really help tourism get around where they're going and kind of relieve us as residents of the craziness. That stuff's not that much money. You're not talking about $10 or $15 million. You're talking about maybe a couple million. So there is opportunity. It's philosophical is what it is. But yes, the director is in support of it, to my knowledge. I mean, that's what he said to me.
I'm sure it's a fear of creep, because
it is. And
once you open that gate, does it start to suck the money out from the things that you really need it for? But I agree, if it's a...
So what we have to do in order to allow this legal use of funds is change their
Mindset.
binding ordinance, or their whatever we have. They have I don't want to call it a master plan. I can't think of the exact term of it, but they have a very strict guideline that Pinellas County has passed that would have to be adjusted and pretty much specifically lay out what else you can use the money for. Even though it's legal at the state, it has to get to that point. And the reason we haven't done anything is because we haven't been able to get the county commissioners to buy in yet. So to change that document. So that's will be the discussion. So we can actually really avoid creep if stuff in this document is as specific, the kinds of things. And then if you want to expand it, then you're going to have to go through this all over again. So, I mean, they can make it really difficult at first.
Who's next year's chair? You know?
I don't. Oh, Janet. Janet.
No, I was just curious.
Yep, Janet.
Creative Pinellas just put out something, and
Yeah, there's going to be maybe some money for that too.
there's some wonderful murals that are going to go in, and the flamingo, wasn't that a joint project with the CVB?
Might have
The
been.
wonderful flamingo?
It might be.
How many, everything you get on Facebook is people posing by that flamingo. It
I
is
know. Oh, the one at the airport,
The
yes.
airport.
Now,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, that is
I had to think about it for a minute. I'm like, is that like the turtle or the dolphin?
No, the flamingo.
But now
at
I got it. The
TIA.
airport, yeah. No,
I
that
mean,
was phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. It's like a landmark.
It is.
And, so you talk about tourism, they come in, they see that wonderful. It's amazing.
Can't we have a flamingo or a giant turtle in our lobby? I'm just kidding. Really, honest to God, I'm just kidding.
And there are new murals that are going in.
I'm glad. You're kidding.
You're glad you're kidding.
Since we have sidetracked, I will say, not just the flamingo, but as I go to different airports, because, for family weddings, our airport is the best. The best.
It
The
is.
easiest to
It
navigate.
is.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
All right.
Okay, you can open the door, buddy. You don't have to look through the window. There you go. So that's all I know that's going on. I don't know when the meeting's going to happen now that it got pushed out because of the tropical storm. My guess is they're not going to try to schedule it in December. People are canceling meetings left and right because of the holidays, This is what happens every year. So that's all I have. So we would like to give our residents and our employees and anybody else who wants to watch a collective 1, 2, 3. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We are adjourned.
We're waiting for it.